If you would give your kidneys for November 9, nope, even better, if you would give your kidneys to Colleen Hoover for November 9, you might want to click away. I am about to rip November 9 apart. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Effie. If you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm going to be discussing Everything Wrong with November 9 by Colleen Hoover, also known as I Hated It. There are a few content warnings. I'll be talking about abuse, toxicity in romantic relationships, manipulation, neglect from parents, as well as, in some cases, assault and rape-ish situations. And I'm gonna be honest, I've never read a book by Colleen Hoover before November 9. And everything was so hyped up. Every single book that she's written is hyped up and enjoyed by so many people, so I didn't think that I would have this problem. And I ended up stumbling across Colleen Hoover's TikTok, to which I really enjoyed her as a person, and her content about writing and reading. However, upon reading November 9, I managed to lose all respect for Colleen Hoover as a writer. If you're new, I am a writer. I'm trying to write my very first book and actually finish it. And as a writer, I had a lot of respect for her based off of the way that she would talk about her writing and her characters and her thought process, and I really looked up to that. But as far as story goes, and the types of things that she has written in November 9, I lost all respect. Granted, November 9 was written in 2015, so there are certain things that might have been more acceptable and more normalized back in 2015, but if this book was published in 2021, she would have been cancelled. So, let's just remember that. So after finishing November 9 by Colleen Hoover, I decided to look up reviews. I wanted to see if people felt the same way that I did, and not many did. There was one out of 50 plus reviews that I read that did have content warnings. And the only ones, there were a few that had content warnings, and the only ones that did have content warnings were 1-star reviews. Or reviews that started with, if I could give it a 0, I would. Shows how much things are normalized, right? I have about 2 pages worth of notes, and not one good thing is written on them. So let's just get started. The characters are probably the worst. Nope, they are the worst, 100%. Going through what November 9 is about, if you don't know, we have our main character. Her name is Fallon. She used to be an actress, and she was in a fire, so she is a burn victim and has very visible scarring on her face, on most likely her entire body, for the most part. And she is the daughter of an actor who literally tells her, you can't be an actress anymore because you look like that. When the only reason why she has the scars in the first place is because her father forgot that she was in the house. So that was good. That was solid. Then we have Ben, who at dinner, while Fallon and her father are having a conversation about her future, her life, and her dad is like, oh, like, you know, like, you haven't been on a date in long enough. And Fallon's like, that's nice. I don't really care, but okay, Dad, thanks. And then Ben is eavesdropping on the whole conversation and decides to sit and be like, sorry I'm late, honey, and pretend to be her boyfriend. Which is alright, okay, I guess, sure. But he then goes a little bit too far, and by a little bit I mean about 10 steps over the edge too far, and is kissing her and touching her. He doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know who he is. She doesn't know what's happening. This was not a pre-planned plan. He just went over and invaded her personal space, and on top of that, in front of her dad. Like, what? Use your brain. I don't kiss my own boyfriend in front of my parents. Not because I'm ashamed, but because it's weird. Maybe that's just a me problem. I don't know, but... Alright, so that's kind of the whole premise, and they end up meeting every year from the age of 18 to I think 23 on November 9th. But they don't give each other phone numbers, they don't give each other email addresses, they block each other on social media so they can't communicate, so they can live their lives regularly for the whole rest of the year except on November 9th. Which could have been a really wonderful and interesting plot point, but Ben ruined it, and so did Colleen's writing. Fallon refers to herself as being obsessive-compulsive about hygiene. Just say that you like brushing your teeth and move on. Colleen uses this as a way to lighten whatever situation is arising, and it's actually really disrespectful to those who do struggle with obsessive-compulsive disorder and things of that sort. It's really disrespectful on Colleen's part that she wants to use it as like a quirky personality trait. No mental illness or disorder is a personality trait. It should not be treated as such. But, so Fallon has severe self-esteem issues, which, okay, most people do. But in Colleen's way of portraying this, it's not about Fallon's insecurity. It's about there being a man there to take those insecurities away. Oh, how disgusting. Honestly, it's... This whole book is Colleen's way of saying, yeah, women have insecurities, but you know how they won't have insecurities? If a man comes in and tells them that they're pretty. The way that this book is written, every other chapter is Fallon's point of view, and then the ones in between are Ben's point of view. So, the first chapter is Fallon's point of view. The second chapter of the entire book is Ben's point of view. The whole chapter is him looking at her and being like, wow, like she has a lot of scarring. I wonder if her breasts are scarred. And that's the whole chapter. It's different than being like, wow, I wonder how much of her body was affected by the fire. And no, instead, it's specifically turning it into a weird fetishization of burn victims. And it's gross. It's actually really repulsive and disrespectful towards people who have irreversible scarring. It's not some fetish or some daydream. It's a real thing that people in real life are genuinely insecure about. And Colleen Hoover decided to make it so it becomes something inherently more sexual. And I think that is disgusting. Hard pass. So, there are some notes that I'm going to read word for word on here. So this one, after, let's see. The whole first glance into Ben's brain is him talking about her body and what color undergarment she's wearing. That is factual. And he tries to guess what color everything is and all that stuff. So again, she is a burn victim. She does have visible scarring. And, you know, there's nothing you could do about it while at the dinner table with someone that you just met. He literally refers to his thought process as mentally undressing her out of curiosity. And then feels like it's been 2 minutes. Go sit down at your own table. Mind your own business, sir. In the same chapter, which is chapter 2, still, by the way, they're chilling, they're sitting across from each other, and he's already saying things like, and I quote, this is a real line from this book, from chapter 2, quote unquote, If we're going to stare at each other, you could at least show a little more cleavage. But only for the purpose of seeing her potential scars that she may or may not have on her chest area. And then, sentences after needs to clarify, oh, not in a sexual way though, just for research. Like, really? That's disgusting. Everything about this is disgusting, and I'm repulsed. On top of all of that, the writing is just not good. It really feels like a middle schooler wrote it. And I don't even know how I finished the whole book. I think I had a thought process of maybe Ben's introduction is supposed to be repulsive. Maybe he's supposed to be gross. Maybe he will change. I was wrong. The way that Colleen Hoover is writing this situation, she's trying to make it as if Ben is the savior of the situation from Fallon and her dad. Which, alright, yeah, it's nice to have someone defend you in situational stress, but there's no reason for that. Women don't need men. Women don't need other people to be their savior. Not every situation is meant for a man to come in and save the day. And it's annoying because every time I've read snippets of Colleen's books, because November 9 was the first book that I read by her, and every time I've seen snippets of her books, it's always the same thing. Men are the savior, even though they're not the main character, but they still somehow end up being the main character. It's gross. I'm over it. Obviously I'm not, because I'm still making this video, but every other sentence in this entire book is an objectification of women. Blech. Every other sentence in this whole entire book is an objectification of women. And it's disgusting. It's repulsive. Ben's character is the most horrendous fictional man I've ever read about. Every single thing that he does is on his terms. He does it when he wants. No consent in any situation. See where I'm going with this? Every time Fallon and Ben want to do something intimate or sexual, she hesitates, she gets nervous, maybe is not as into it as Ben is, and he flat out says, "You're uncomfortable for no reason," and continues doing whatever they were doing. It's so gross. Consent, people. There's another situation where Ben and Fallon are going out to dinner, and Ben tries to get her to wear this specific dress that she does not want to wear. She's having a panic attack over putting this dress on. And he flat out says, "If I'm paying for dinner, I get to decide what I stare at." So between that and the cleavage comment from chapter 2, it's been 5 seconds, and you're already trying to dictate what this person wears. You are not in a committed relationship. You're in some weird pact thing with someone that you don't know. And then, on top of that, they're at dinner and they're talking about Fallon's scars, and he really says it's your fault that people are uncomfortable looking at you. And goes on to blame her for the scars that are irreversible. I can't. I really can't. Every time Ben wants to do something intimate with Fallon, it's never out of genuine care for the person. It's never out of love. It's never out of, like, whatever. It's always because he just wants to see the scars that she has. That's it. That's the only reason. When Fallon and Ben do the deed, Fallon feels like she loses a piece of herself. Like something is missing afterwards. That is not how any intimate experience is supposed to feel. If you feel like you're missing something or like you lost a piece of yourself, after being intimate with someone, something is wrong. And then this is the kicker. This is another one I'm going to read word for word. The following day after they do the deed, Fallon's like, I gotta go. And he literally says, this is real. I never wanted to use physical force on a girl before, but I want to push her to the ground and hold her there until the cab drives away. Because he doesn't want her to leave, he feels the need to threaten physical violence on her, and people are obsessing over this man. They're like, Ben's the blueprint. For abuse. Every abusive and manipulative tactic that Ben exudes throughout this whole book, he comes back and says, oh, it's just alpha male romance, so it's fine. Like, what the Another section where Fallon is with another man. And Ben, out of pure jealousy, stalks her, finds the bar, or wherever they are, bar, I think, club, I don't know, where Fallon and this new man are, and physically drags Fallon down a hallway, holds her against the wall so she can't move, so Ben can ask her who's he. All while she's drunk, by the way. So that's good. On top of it, nice Ben, you're an asshole. Every time a male character does something abusive, manipulative, controlling, Colleen Hoover, at least 10 times in this book alone, rewards that behavior with whoever the behavior is directed towards, or whoever it's happening to, as, oh, he's just being protective of me. It's really sweet. And it rewards that behavior. It makes it seem like, oh, like Ben's actually doing a good thing. He stalked a girl because he likes her. It's just him being protective. I would also like to point out that Ben set the fire to Fallon's house intentionally. And that is why he is so obsessed with her scars, but he makes it weird and sexual every single time. Another thing, Fallon's dad flat out told her on multiple occasions, you're too ugly for Broadway, no one's gonna hire you when you look like that. And he's being portrayed by the end of the book as, oh, he's just a misunderstood dad. He doesn't know how to communicate. And Fallon forgave him, like, right away. There was no, I want to forgive you, but we have some things to talk about, we have some things to sort. It was just, oh, I forgive you, no problem. And then she forgave Ben, too, for stalking, for being abusive, for the fire, for the being weak, everything. She is so quick to forgive. Abusive, manipulative behavior is not cute. This book was not a satire. All of the toxicity that Ben had was far too naturally written for me. It's not a good thing. It's not cute. And I feel like even though this book is labeled new adult, a lot of young adults will read it. And depending on where you are in life, you could easily take this as, oh, if someone I love stalks me, it means that like I owe them. And I wanted to find some redeeming quality in Colleen Hoover. I want to find some quality in Colleen Hoover. And I tried looking, like, Colleen Hoover talks about November 9 and the controversy, but there was no controversy. Because every single person is falling in love with this character. They're like, oh, like, he's the blueprint. He's really not. He's gross. And if I ever met him in person, I would probably punch him in the face. And I had so many high hopes for this book, and it just let me down every single page. My first thought when I read it is, oh, like, the banter's kind of punchy, like, it's good, it's fun. And then page 2 happened, and from page 2, there was nothing good about it. Nothing. And I'm really sick of people romanticizing abuse. I'm really tired of it. It's sending a lot of people the wrong message, and it is sickening. Like, this book was traumatizing to read. And every page I was like, maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get better, and it never did. And by the time I closed the book, I was nauseous. Astounding at how many people will romanticize abuse for the purpose of supporting their favorite author. Based off of every single thing I just said, every single scenario that Ben is doing something abusive, manipulative, toxic, repulsive behavior, it always ends with him coming out on top and being rewarded for whatever behavior it is. And every single time he does something, it's always like, oh, like, he's just doing it because he cares. He's just doing it because he's protective. Fallon is just uncomfortable for no reason. And it's annoying, and it's gross, and I had to return the book. I've never returned a book to a bookstore in my entire life. Even if I didn't like it, usually I'd sell it, or I'd donate it, or I'd give it to friends who might enjoy it. But this book, no one should read, and I have no support or excitement for anything else that Colleen Hoover has written or will write. And I know writing books is so hard, and I'm sure that maybe there's one book of hers that is genuinely really good and not problematic, but this book was disgusting. And I'm happy I don't have it anymore. I had about 2 or 3 more books by Colleen Hoover on my TBR list, and I took them all off. No more support for me. Again, I know writing books is hard, and that's why I usually try to find one good thing about it, but there was nothing. And all I can say is, as a writer, I hope that I never make anyone feel the way that I feel about this book. And another thing before I go, there were about 2 or 3 instances in this book alone that use being gay as a punchline. Being gay, being mentally ill, having disorders, having burn scars, it's not a punchline. These are real experiences that people have, and Colleen Hoover does nothing but make jokes about it and use it as a punchline. I got no sympathy. No, none. I get told on a regular basis, oh, well, this book by Colleen Hoover. I get told on a regular basis, oh, this book by Colleen Hoover is really good. You should read it. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Writing is so hard. Writing books and publishing books is so hard. And Colleen Hoover has 6, 7+ books that are published and loved throughout a couple thousand people, I'm sure. But books like November 9 are the reason why people think that certain behaviors in relationships are okay. All this book does is romanticize abuse and manipulation and coercion and the lack of consent. Like, it's just gross. Everything about it is gross. And I finished reading it about a week ago. Well, no, that's a lie. A few days ago. And I haven't stopped thinking about it because I'm so disgusted and I'm angry, actually. I'm upset that this book was a book in the first place. I wish I never read it. I wish I could go back and, I don't know. On another note, I did finish Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I didn't do a book review on that because I felt like this was more important to talk about. And Neon Gods, there was no plot. The writing was okay, but it was spicy, so I finished it, and that had a higher rating than this one did. This one gets a negative bajillion out of 5 croissants. I rate in croissants now, by the way, instead of stars, because, I don't know, gotta keep the vibe. I'm currently reading House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and so far it's average. I don't hate it, but I also am not really, like, excited to continue reading it, but I'll do my best. After that, I'm gonna be reading, I'm gonna be reading The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, and that I am really excited for. My reading in the past few weeks has been super, super disappointing. So I'm hoping that either The House in the Cerulean Sea gets better for me, or that The Prison Healer is solid. We'll see though. On that note, that is all I have about November 9 by Colleen Hoover, and I hope that you all have a lovely day, week, month, year, and everything in between. I'll see you next time. Bye!